Hey guys, it's Tyler here from Rehab to Fab. I'm going to start working on this chest of drawers right here that you see behind me. It is the chest of drawers that goes with the Gulf Shores finish that I just recently did the dresser and the nightstand on. We started to paint them the same, but sometimes it's easier to sell them separate. I'll go over what we did with this. I had an idea in mind of what I wanted to do and colors I want to do, and I think I'm going to distress it back around these edges to show the wood underneath. So because of that, I didn't use our typical white primer that we normally used. We used a shellac based primer, and the reason being it's clear. That way when I sand over it to distress it, after I paint it, I can see the wood grain here showing through. And I really like the look of this, how it is now, where it's got dark and the lighter wood. And that's just where we sanded it down to prep it before we started on it. And so I want some of that to show through. And I'm thinking to do like a rust type color on it. Because of that, I was trying to pick hardware. I didn't have enough hardware to do the whole piece because I had to borrow some. This piece to actually put on the blue piece, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's over there. So I had to borrow some of the hardware off of that one to finish it up, or off this one to finish that setup. So I've got to do new hardware. These have one hole here in the middle, and then the bottom two drawers here had two holes because it had differing holes on it. And so what I'm going to do is use some of these. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. If you're lucky, you'll go when they have them on sale. I think every other week they mark all their hardware on sale, like 40 or 50% off, and that's the best time to go. Unfortunately, however, I always need it and have to have it right then, and don't always get it when it's on sale. So I had a couple of these laying around. I had some different ones that I was trying on it, but I ended up going with these. It's kind of a French provincial style, the way it's made, and so I'm going to use these. So I'm going to put one in the center of these smaller drawers, and then I'm going to put two on the bigger drawers just because of the size of them, and they're a little heavier. So we filled the holes here. My husband did that for me before we started working on it. Hang on, I'll show you what he used. This is what he used to fill the holes. We also use this to repair any scratches and dents and dings and whatnot that we find in our furniture. This is Pro Finisher Wood Filler, and it works really good. You can paint over it. You can stain over it too. It's really hard to get a good wood filler that you can use that you can stain over that won't change the look of the stain. Most of them you can kind of see a little bit of a difference in it, but it's a small area. It's not really that big of a deal. But this is what's in here. He usually tapes one side of it, the front or back, and then just kind of stuffs the wood filler down in there and just keeps going until he gets it full, overfills it, and then once it's good and dry, sand over it to smooth it. Voila, your holes are filled. And then I'm about to get him to start marking my holes for these. I think I left I had to buy 4 more the other day, and I think I left them in my car. So I'm hoping the hole sizes are all good. It's really a good idea to mark each individual one because you never know. This one seems to have a little bit of a tilt in the screw right here. It's not straight up and down, so that one may be a problem. Hopefully the other ones will be okay. So I'm going to let him mark these, measure them out, and we'll drill a hole. If I can get him to do it on camera for you, stand by. Hey guys. Okay, so this is my husband Vicente. He just used a tape measure to mark off the new holes here for where the new hardware is going to go, and he's just using a DeWalt electric drill that we have, handheld drill. He's going to drill some new holes in it, and that's going to be where our new hardware is going to go. And it's pretty simple. Anytime you want to change hardware, you can do that. Sometimes you have to change it because you don't have all the pieces. Sometimes you just want to give it a new look. So pretty simple. Just drill your old holes and then drill your new holes. The only thing I do recommend is to make sure you do that before you paint. A lot of times you'll get done and you realize you want to change something you've already painted it, and it can ruin your finish if you drill through it after you've painted. One way to help prevent that is if you've already painted it, like I did last week. I had the blue pieces actually I had to drill some holes after I just started painting it. And we'll just use painter's tape to put over the new finish, and then mark your places, put the painter's tape over it, and it'll just keep it from kind of splintering around that new hole there. But pretty simple and easy to do if you want to change your hardware out. No big deal. He's just going to finish marking these off, and I'm going to let him do the other ones, and then I'll come back and start painting. Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm going to start working on this. So I've got a couple of colors here. My main color that I want this to be, I want it to be kind of a orangey, rusty, corally kind of color is my end game, but I also want it to have some texture. Before we started, my husband did sand it down with a light sanding just to kind of take off some of that factory shiny finish and also, you know, kind of give it something to grip to. Also work out any little scratches and minor dings. After that, it was cleaned really well with TSP. Again, that's the trisodium phosphate. It's like a chemical cleaner degreaser that we use to clean all our pieces with. It's also very good if you do cabinet work. Because it's a degreaser, so it will clean all the grease that's on your cabinets, so you can get a good, clean, non-greasy start on your cabinets before you put your paint on it. That way you don't have any adhesion issues. This is, after it was cleaned, this is what we primed it with. This is Zinsser shellac that we used in a clear, and the reason I did that is because I want to sand this back when I get through with my finish. That's my plan anyways. It may change, it sometimes does, but I want to sand it back after I'm done painting it to show this wood grain that's underneath. A lot of times we'll use the oil-based primer that is white in color, which is good if you're painting and not planning on distressing back. But if you want to see this wood grain underneath your paint, you're going to want to use something clear. Wiseout does have some new, a new clear primer that they just released, and I haven't used it yet. I haven't ordered it, so I'll have to order that for my next piece. But since I didn't have it, I did just go ahead and use shellac. This will sometimes help with bleed through, but not quite as good as the oil-based primer that is white. But sometimes we just use both of them and just kind of see. Sometimes you'll use one and it'll still bleed, and then you'll go back and use another one. It's kind of trial and error. You learn what products work, and sometimes you have to use a combination of the two. But this is the one I used for this piece, and that's, again, just so I can sand back and show the wood grain underneath. Again, end goal is going to be kind of orangey colored, kind of rust looking. I've been wanting to do like a rust kind of patinaed finish for a long time, actually for several years before I ever saw anybody do it. I never got around to doing it. I'm bad about that. I have lots of ideas in my head for things that I want to do. I just don't always get to actually do them. I'm going to start with, I've got some Wiseout Snow Owl here. I use. I really kind of want a cream color. Actually, hold on. Let me see what else I have. Okay, I was just going to look to see what colors. I have Kashmir also in Wiseout, and I have Antique Via, and I've never used either one of these. We are kind of new to using the product. The Antique Via is more looking like an off-white, and the Kashmir looks a little more kind of a cream. So actually, I am going to pop these lids off here and see what I'm working with. And I think I may want to go with the Kashmir. I kind of want a grungy piece. And again, you know, sometimes when I see a piece, I know exactly what I wanted. And when I looked at this one, I automatically wanted to do kind of an orangey rust color. And I wanted to distress that back to show some of the wood underneath. That was my initial reaction. And that's also why I picked the hardware that I showed you guys a few minutes ago. It's kind of a raw iron looking French provincial style. And so I wanted it obviously to kind of go along with the paint color that I chose. But I kind of want to add some texture to it. You can do texture in a couple of different ways. You can do it by layering your paint and building it as you go. I used to do a lot of dry brushing when I first started that I really like. And that will give you some texture. And just, again, layering, putting on one coat after another, and you can build it with different colors. We can use paint. We can use crackle effects to kind of give us a different layered look, but it will also give you that crackled look. I'm just kind of stirring this paint right here to see what it looks like. This is a pretty color. This is the antique. I say Villa. I don't know. My husband's Hispanic, so it would be pronounced the two L's is Y. I don't know if other people probably say Villa, but this is a really pretty color. It's not white. It's not really a yellow cream. It's a nice in between, so we may use that. That looks really good. That'll complement my other colors that I have. I am going to pop the lid on this cashmere as well. I want to show you guys what it looks like, but it's kind of hard to, my can is slap full of paint, so I can't tilt it without spilling it. I'll see what the lids look like. This is the Antique Villa, kind of a cream as opposed to the white. And then you can't really see a whole lot on this. This one is a little bit more it looks like cashmere. So I'm going to stir this one, see what we get with it. You do want to stir your products really good when you open them, because they do settle, especially the chalk mineral based type paints. Some of the minerals will settle towards the bottom of it. Like this one that I just opened, I can kind of feel more so on the bottom that it has like a residue, almost like your pots and pans when you let your food stick to them and you start stirring them, and you can kind of feel it sticking on the bottom. So you can feel that. So you just want to keep stirring it until you get that all mixed up. So this one is, the cashmere is similar to the Antique Villa that I opened, but it has kind of a little more, I'm going to say a little more of a gray hue to it. Very pretty as well. So either one of those will work, really. I have a roller here. Again, I'm going to use a roller just because it'll give me a little bit of texture. I have my Klingon brushes, and then I also have a bag that I may use for a little texture as well. This is what's fun about art, is you get to create and make things and see how it turns out. And I'll probably end up, I think I'm going to do a coat in this lighter color. I'm going to go back in my oranges, and then I may dry brush a little more just to give me some more texture. I may go back over it again. Who knows? We'll see. I just kind of gotten in the habit of recording as I go. That way you never know when something's going to turn out beautiful, and then you have it if you need it, right? Somebody else wants to learn how to do it. I'm just using a spoon right now to dip some of this cashmere paint out to get on a plate so I can roll it. Sometimes I will use a foam roller. It will give you a little smoother kind of finish. It will kind of slide too if you're not careful. Instead of actually rolling up on it, it will slide. This one is not. It has a little more texture to it. And I'm just going to start rolling. And I am so messy. I already feel it slinging on me. And then I'll show you in a minute the way this kind of looks. I'll just give you kind of a little like a dappled, steepled look because of the texture on the roller, which is what I want, because I want to have some layers of texture, and I'm not really trying to paint this on pretty, because this is just like a base coat, and I'm going to go over it with several more layers, and colors. We got all the hardware, or the holes drilled in the drawers. My husband loves doing that, don't you? It takes forever, it seems like, to line them up. I wish I was the kind of person that we could just kind of eyeball it and go with it, but it would not be straight and it would drive us crazy. So you don't want your hardware to be crooked. It's never good. There are a lot of really pretty orange pieces, by the way. If you get on Pinterest and Google, I was looking at some different colors of pieces, and there are a lot of pretty ones out there. If you Google or Pinterest and search for orange painted furniture. I always have these ideas in my head of different finishes I want to do. Like I wanted to do some yellow. I actually have some French provincial side tables sitting over here behind me that I painted in yellow and blended some white in. And I ordered a transfer that I wanted to use. And I got one shipment in, and it was not in there. And then they sent me a notice that my other order was coming in, and it's still not in there. I guess they were on back order. So I've been kind of non-patiently waiting for those to show up. I wanted to finish them. I did a live on here several weeks ago, I guess, or a few weeks ago, where I started them. Ready to get those done. And I brought this a little closer just to give you a close-up view so you can kind of see this. I don't know how well you can see it, but you can, this is still wet, but you can kind of see that it looks kind of dappled looking, and that's, again, just giving me some extra texture so that when I come back with my other colors and my other layers, it'll show through there. This is not going to be a pretty smooth, soft finish. I'm going for layers and texture for like an old look. I'm going to start, just do this here, and then I'm going to hold it again, and we'll turn it. Start working on the other side. And then just wherever the roller doesn't get, like in this crease right here, I'm just using a cling-on brush, and I'm not, again, not trying to make it smooth, just kind of dabbing it on. Because we want texture. Okay, this is the front. Here's my new holes. So I've got the two here, so I can put my hardware on each side of these bigger drawers, and then here and here, and then there'll be one in each center there, and you can see the shine on it again. That's just the shellac that we sealed with. Using my cling-on brush just to kind of, I don't really know how old it is too. It's just a little messy, or just let me know me. This is why if you ever see me in my paint shorts, I always have paint on the back side of the shorts, because sling it and get it on my floor where I'm working, and then I'll move around and sit in it. So I'm just using the cling-on to kind of get in those low areas where my roller's not going. I have explained before in some other videos, but I'll explain again on here. Sometimes I will take the drawers out to paint. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm blending, I will usually leave them in, because I want each drawer to kind of go with the next one, and you want to kind of see where you're going. And if you take them out, it's a little bit harder to do that. This piece, the drawer fronts actually overlap the frame, meaning that this piece right here, let me touch right here because I didn't paint it yet. This piece right here overlaps the frame itself, and so you can't see that unless I take the drawers out. So I will take those out when I start working on the frame, but right now I'm just kind of rolling because it's easier to leave them in and see what I'm doing for you guys. These are actually not taped up yet either, so I'll have to be careful because I told you I'm super messy. Hello, and then I can't even see what I'm doing. Mostly try to not put backside in the camera. Yeah, I'm just going to pull that out a little more, but we'll just leave it. Again, really sloppy. Not really caring what it looks like because we are just creating some texture. No need to be neat. No need to follow straight lines. So the reason I'm doing this white first, the coat of white first, is because I'm going to let it show through underneath. I'm going to paint when I start working on my oranges and building them up. I may add some yellow. I may add some turquoise. I'm not really sure. Just kind of play with it and see how it looks as I go. I mostly just want to have an orange, rusty kind of finish. That was my goal. Just add more paint here to my paintbrush. Nothing fancy. Or not my paintbrush, I'm sorry, to my paper plate that I'm using for my roller. No fancy paint liner, just a paper plate. And just using my Klingon brush, kind of dabbing that in those low spots. Not going for a smooth, pretty finish here. This might be the exception to my touch and feel rule. I always tell people if I ever go see anybody else's furniture or see something in a store, I always reach over and feel it. I can't help it. I like to have a nice, clean, smooth finish on my furniture. So let's see if I feel what other people's want to go in. I'm just swapping sides here. A little dust on there from the drawers where he rolled those. like orange and turquoises kind of go together. It was a favorite combination my grandmother had. I remember coloring with her when I was younger. And that was one of her favorite color combos. Burnt oranges and like a turquoise or a teal color. Kind of, again, makes you think of like patina. Like that naturally occurs on metals as they age and oxidize. Let's see, we may add some in here. I did, on one of the other pieces, I did the, with Love Elizabeth piece that I did. I, did a kind of a coat of a lighter blue underneath that. And then sealed that and then painted over it with my coral colors. And, did some wet distressing on that so it would not remove the blue. That way it would show underneath when I distressed it. So that's kind of the same idea. So messy look already. Just went over that with my clean on to get in those creases, but I'm going back over it with my roller so I can get that texture. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the side, but I'm going to pause the video. That way it doesn't get too long. Okay, I just pulled these drawers out so I can get this frame going. And I got to do the top. I told y'all I'm always changing my mind now. I kind of wish I had stripped the top so I could do some wood stain, but all is well. This is not really rolling too much on that because it's such a tight space. It's just kind of sitting on it, kind of sliding. So I'll just use my brush. And I'm going to paint a little bit of this inside just in case it shows. I don't think it will because, like I said earlier, the drawers on these overlap on the frame. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but just in case. I'm just kind of dabbing with my brush. That way, again, it's not making a really smooth, pretty finish. Just trying to kind of get it laying in there. This dresser, or chest of drawers rather, the dresser also has a piece that sits on the bottom of the frame. I don't think you can see it right now. Let me see if I can show you. Like right here. So I'll have to do that too in stages. It's kind of hard to do it right now just because it's sitting on rollers. So it's easy to move around. So I may be able to get it. I got, when I did the blue piece, I was able to do it while it still sat on them. Sometimes it's hard. You can do it. You just typically get paint all over the roller, which I don't really care about so much, but I do care about picking up the dirt that's on the roller and getting it on the furniture rollers and getting it on my paint brushes or my paint tools that I'm using. Because then it'll get on your piece, and you don't want that. We want texture, but we don't necessarily want dirt and fuzz. Just picking up a little bit more to get the inside trim here. This is drying pretty fast, and it's giving me some good texture again because the goal was not to try to paint it smooth and clean. Just trying to get some texture on it from the roller and the sloppy painting, and then I'm going to go back next with some of my orange colors. We still have to do a little. There's a big overhang on these pieces where the top sits on the base. It goes right up in there. I'll put the paint too on the dresser that went with it. Lots of squatting and bending and crazy positions that you get your body into painting furniture. I'm going to do a healthiest thing for your joints. That's got that. I'll try to get the side frame over here, and then we'll start on our orange. Okay, guys, I'm back. We are here on a new day. I'm still working on this chest of drawers here behind me. This is the one we're going to try to do kind of some orangey rust colors and trying to get a lot of texture on it. I have worked on one side of it over here, just one panel on it, so I can kind of get an idea as to what I'm doing. And I can try to show you. Hang on. So this is actually what I have going on right now. Lots of oranges and some creams, a little bit of a kind of a chipotle red color. Just kind of blending it and working it in several layers to get texture. But I worked on that the other day, kind of getting where I was going with it, and then again a little bit this morning. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to do the drawers in the same way, or if I just want to do the side panels in the top, or what I'm going to do with it, because I don't want it to get to be too busy. But I think I'm going to do the 4 side panels and then do the drawers similar. I've got to get my texture either way, even if I want to darken it up a little bit. So this is going to be my process for that. And we are using, again, Wazal chalk synthesis paint. This is Safron Thread. Also using Wazal and Mandarina, which is a little bit more brighter orange. And then I also have Kashmir, my lid stock, sitting right here with me. And I'm using just kind of an old, cheap Harbor Freight brush. Reason being, I'm just dry brushing and trying to get some texture, so I'm not going for that pretty smooth look that I normally use or go for when I'm using my clean out. Another color I have, this is a Behr color. It's called Chipotle Paste. And I think this has a little bit of calcium carbonate in it from where we use it for our workshops to help it dry a little bit faster. But it's kind of a dark chipotle color red. Also using a plastic bag from Kroger that I'm going to use to help me get some texture going. I'm going to pause again. I think I'll start on the side and get these panels going. And then once I get that done, I'll kind of have an idea as to what I want to do, if I want to do it on the front or if I think it's going to be too busy. And if so, then I'll probably just blend some of those same colors on the drawer fronts. Okay, I am going to use my cling on brush to get my color on here. And I didn't really do anything too crazy with how I applied this, just trying to put it on kind of quick. This is Safron Thread. And again, not going for anything smooth or pretty, just putting some color on it. And this is over top of the Kashmir that we put on the other day with the roller brush. I do try to get it down in the corners here, like where it meets the frame, and over here where the rope is. And just because you don't want to have to go back and add that later after you've already got like a lot of texture and color built. Sometimes it's hard to match. Not going for smooth here. This is our textured piece. Just putting on some color. I'm going to use the same brush and just dip it back in the Mandarina, and this is going to be a little bit brighter orange. Should be able to see a little bit of a difference in it. I'm just kind of filling in where I left out on the first color. Second color, actually, first orange. First color with Kashmir. Sometimes it's fun to just try something different, you know. I've been painting smooth blended pieces for a little while. I haven't done any dry brushing in a while. I haven't done any drips in a while. We may add some of that too. Let's see how it goes. For some texture. The artistic process is having an idea in your head and then trying to get it out on your piece, whether that be furniture, canvas, whatever it is you're doing. So many different forms of art. So the idea with this is we're just going to keep building more and more layers. So we're going to do this, and then we'll let it dry. And I'll start up here on the top. And then we're going to start dry brushing and just kind of dabbing color on just to get those textures going so it's not smooth. So there's that. Just put it on sloppy. And then now I'm going to take my Kroger bag and just wad it up in another special way. And then I'm just going to dab it. And what that does is pull some of that color off that we just put on, and it's in a crinkly fashion because of the bag being washed up. And so you can see a little bit of the cashmere coming through behind that. And it doesn't really show up like the cashmere when you do it this way. It's kind of showing up as more of a yellow color just because of all the, I guess, the yellow and the oranges in the background of it. So that's kind of what you see. And that was it. See how easy that was? The color looks terrible on here. But gives you a lot of texture. That's it. And I'll do the same thing up top. I'm going to try to lay my bag here so I can save it and reuse it. And then while I do the top, this part here will be dry, and it will take a minute, so I may have to break in between because my paint's kind of heavy here where I put it on pretty thick, so I'm going to have to give it a minute to dry. And then I do want it dry, and then once it's dry, I'll go back and start the dry brushing. Alright, going back with the saffron thread. I just had a thought process because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the top. I had put some paint on it originally, and now I'm thinking I might put some stain on it. So I'm trying to think about what I'm doing with that, and I probably shouldn't be getting orange all over it. We'll see. Let's see. Mandarina, same brush. Picking up a brighter orange. These colors make me think of like a kind of Western boho vibe, especially if you put like some turquoise with it. Really pretty. I would love to see what you guys are working on also if you get these tutorials and watch. Alright, and then we're going to go back with our Kroger bag, start working on texture. No particular pattern, just kind of dabbing it. Just raising up some of that paint we just put back down. And just lifting off some of that orange and showing some of that cashmere underneath. And then I'll let this dry, and then I'll come back and start building some more texture by dry brushing. Okay, so this is a little bit wet, but what I'm doing in the meantime, so as not to pause too long, is I gotta get done. I'm just using the saffron thread here, and I'm painting this on the trim. I'm gonna try to do this like a little bit darker, more of the red, because I'm adding Chipotle Paste into this, and but I gotta get a base coat on it, so I am going ahead and put this up just to get it going. Just letting it dry. Just using my Klingon shorty for this. Furniture, huh? There's that. Let that be drying. They get noisy. My husband's spraying in the back. And again, this is just the saffron thread here that I'm using on the frame, and I'm going to go back and add some Chipotle Paste. color by itself. I was going to do this color by itself and just kind of distress it back to the wood grain, but I changed my mind. Again, on the frame, we are not really going for texture. Just color on. We'll have to do this underlay here too. Out does so beautifully. It should be great when you want it to, but I don't want it to really crochet this time. Right. Add a little red. And again, this is I just have this in a bottle. It's Chipotle Paste by Behr. And on some of our fall signs. You can kind of see the difference. Drying already. Spray it with nothing. Where I want it to be. Just wait on this to dry. It's got a little bit of white spots in it, so I'm going to give it just a little bit longer, and then I'll come back and I'll teach you how to dry brush. Okay guys, I'm back. This is dry. My husband is spraying in the back, so we've got the sprayer and a fan going to ventilate and stuff, so it got kind of loud. So I just went around the trim here with the saffron thread, and then also I added a little bit, I kind of mixed it equal parts with the Chipotle Paste, which again is the Behr color, and it's just kind of a darker red, but you can also use black cherry. I did some black cherry on the side the other day when I was adding texture, and it's about the same color when you mix it. So next I have my Kashmir back, which is just kind of a gray white color, I guess if you will. And I'm going to start dry brushing. This is just a little cheap brush that's seen better days from Harbor Freight. And I'm just using it to barely get a little bit of paint on the tips of the brush. And that's what I'm going to use for my dry brushing. So I'll show you. I'm just going to dip. And that is literally, I mean, there's like hardly anything on the paintbrush. Not only do I hardly put any on it, I also have a rag here that I'm going to use to just wipe off the majority. And you just barely want it on your brush, very light. And the key to this is you can always go back and add more to it if you need to, but you can't take it off. And you want to do this, I need somewhere to sit my paint. You want to do it just really, really light so you don't get big blobs. You have to, if you get one on it, you can try to wipe it back off, but what it's going to do is smear and kind of run into it. So you want to do really, really light. Otherwise, if you get too much, you're probably going to have to go back and paint over it, which is no big deal because we're doing layers. So for a really heavy texture look, so not that big of a deal if we get it thick. Let's just give my paint a little stir there, and again, just kind of wiping most of it off, and then you're just going to really lightly start pulling it. And the idea with this, the reason we created all this texture, first by rolling our paint on initially on the first coat, and then we put it on heavy and then use the bag to pull some of that paint back up. And what that does is it leaves it a non-smooth finish. Normally you want a nice smooth finish. Well, this is not. It's raised, so you have lots of low areas and high areas, or peaks. And then when you use your paintbrush with just a tiniest little bit of paint over it, you're not really putting paint everywhere. It's just kind of hitting those high spots. And you're just going to keep doing this until you get the look you like. And then what I did on the other side, I did this with my white, and then I took the Chipotle Paste and I put some blobs with that, and then I went back over it with the orange, and then I went back over it with the white, and I just kept doing it. And you can do cross hatching here. You don't have to do it all one way. You want to do it up and down, side to side, but you do want to let it dry in between because it will pull if not. And again, we're just kind of going for hitting the high areas. And if you start going over it too many times while it's still wet, it will start to kind of blend and smear and pull it all together. And so we're getting some texture now. And then I'm going to take another brush. And then in this cup, I have my Safron Thread mixed about equal parts with the Chipotle Paste. And again, I mixed it the other day too with black cherry, and it gives it just a little more of a kind of a plum color. And this is actually kind of the darker color that I have here around the frame. And then I'm just going to kind of hit it. This brush has been sitting here since I started a while ago, so it's kind of dry and crunchy, but that's okay because this is all I'm doing with it. And then I'm going to hit this a few times, and then I'll give you guys a close-up so you can see what it looks like. Again, just building layers. And then after I do that, I'll let that dry a little bit, and then I go back over it again with the white. So, this is what you get. Got the low spots, high spots, the brighter orange, the darker orange. We got the red color. Got almost like a yellow hue going through. Look how the color changes with the light. It's so crazy. And then I got these areas here where I just dabbed that on. And so I'll do the same thing here on the bottom, and then let this dry for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back over and do some more of the cashmere. Same thing, cross hatching, just building layers. Cashmere, dry brushing, very light. excess. Start drying it. Building a new layer of texture. Every time we do this, just very light amounts of paint on the brush when you dry brush. Same goes if you're dry brushing and, you know, not really going for texture. I was trying to get this to be raised, which is why I did the several layers. Almost has kind of a stucco look to it. This is really pretty when you do it with a gray. Gray. Kind of gives you a concrete stone look to it. So that was my cashmere. And then I'm just going to go back with my mix of the saffron thread and the chipotle paste. Just kind of dab it. Just kind of hit or miss. Not really aiming for any kind of area or location or design. That's it. And then I'm going to go do the same thing on the other side. Let this dry and then I can do some more layers on it. Alright, I'm going back up top here again. The cashmere. It doesn't take long to dry. And really what I'm doing with this is kind of hitting the purple, the kind of chipotle color, and it'll kind of change the color of it when you go over it. Almost kind of smear it too. And then I'll do the same thing down here on the bottom. See, I got you guys up on the ladder. That's good. And then I am opening up my saffron thread again. And my mandarina. Just picked up a little bit of that mandarina. So I'll start going back over it again. And that will kind of cover up some of that white so it's not so prominent. Same thing, just kind of dabbing it in there, wiping off the excess. And so this is going to cover up some of that white again so it's not quite as prominent, but also still building more texture. Same thing. Covering up some of my white, and I do want some of it to stay in there because it just gives us some added dimension. We're kind of getting where we want to be. This is my mixture. The saffron thread. This is just saffron thread. I'm kind of putting right here around the bottom. Hanging a ways up. And then just below that, the mixture of the saffron thread. with the chipotle and just creating a little bit of dimension here around the bottom so it's a little bit darker. Saffron thread, that's on my Klingon. And then again, this is the same brush that I'm just using to draw brush those colors. And just kind of going around the edges to give it a little bit of depth. And then I'll do the same thing up here. I do have water here in a mister bottle. Just kind of spraying that a little bit just to kind of get it moving. Picking up a little bit of the saffron thread. And just kind of coming across here. Just to get it going. And then my mixture again. I'm just kind of putting that at the very top. Always good to go back and look at your other side. Just make sure you're kind of staying the same. If you get this a little darker than you want, or I should say heavier, start building some layers again. And what I'm doing is just kind of using a little bit of the darker color to paint to go around the edges there, just to give it some shadow. And I do have a little more than I want down here, so I just pick up some more of my cashmere. And hit that. And then picking up a little bit of that tangerine, same brushes. And then just kind of hit that. Same cloth. I'm not really trying to get them clean. Going for lots of texture. And I think I am liking the way that looks. Same thing on the bottom. A little water going. And in no particular order, really. Just picked up a little bit of the mandarina. So I'm just going to cover up some of this white. Again, just building layers. And you can just do this as many times as you want. You can go back and do some wax. Just keep adding and adding. And that is really how you get that old world kind of texture look like you see on old faded doors and stuff like that. Because if you think about it, those didn't just happen overnight. It's years and years of time and work, right? Got a coat of paint, it's outside exposed to the elements, maybe got another coat of paint somewhere along the way, and another one outside in between all that. 50 years, 75 years maybe goes by. It's a lot of layers. So that was my saffron thread around the edges. And then I'm going to come back again. This is my mixture of the saffron thread and the chipotle paste. Just kind of adding a little bit of depth here on the cut sides. The only thing bad about this is your brush will get really crunchy. And then I'm probably going to have to pick up a new one if I want to do this on the fronts as well. That's just because it sits here and gets dry while I'm waiting. This, of course, is not going to blend smoothly because we got lots of layers on here. I mean, it really looks and feels like stucco right now, if you can see it up close. And then when I got this all done, on the other side, I actually went back and added just a little bit of a copper color. Show you guys that when I get to it. And you just keep going until you get it the way you want it. Let's say, I do have paint on here, of course, as y'all know I'm sloppy. So on my frame, I did my main color first of the saffron thread. And then I was trying to add my mixture on here. But it's not showing up quite as much as I wanted. So some of it I just kind of put some of it Chipotle on it. Because it's blending. That's why our paint is so great at blending. I was trying to, I want the frame to be a little different. I don't want it to have texture so much because I thought, well, if I do this whole piece, including the drawers and everything, with a whole bunch of texture, like it's going to be too much, you know? Too busy, I think. But we'll see. I was trying to get the frame at least done first, and then I'm going to step back and take a look at it and see how I feel about it then. I may put a little bit of texture in the middle of the drawers, just so they're not completely different. Figuring it out as we go. And again, this is the Mandarina. So I just did this whole rope with that one there. And then I'm going to pick up, this is another brush, and this is that mixture of the saffron thread with the chipotle. I'm just going to kind of go over it and mix the two up. And this is what I was talking about. It kind of blends in, and it doesn't show separate like I want. So let me see how it looks. It's darker. I'm trying to get this the same as the edges here where I went around it with the mixture to darken it a little bit. But because the saffron thread is still so wet, it's kind of blending a little more, so it's a little wider than I want it. So I'm just kind of picking up some of these Chipotle paste by itself and just going over it as well, and it's just darkening it. It's just a little bit darker combination than my mix that I made. It's showing up the red a little more, which is what I wanted. And just picking up a little on my brush, and you can see the difference right there. And then I'll just keep it wet and mix it together. I think that's it for this side. I'm going to start turning this and work on the other side. Alright, so I got the drawers out. I'm going to start doing the frame here. And I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. I think I may stain over my paint. We'll see. So, same thing here. I'm going to start picking up these different colors. I'm going to start with my saffron thread. And then I'm not really going to worry, I don't think, too much about the blending on this because, as I said earlier, these drawers overlap, so you can't really see the inside here. So that's fine. So the biggest trick for this is trying to get it all to match when you've done it in separate pieces. So I'm probably going to go back. This is the Chipotle Paste mix, and I'm just going to kind of go over it while it's still wet. And hope I can get it to be the same. Excuse me. As this color that I already have on the front. I was trying to just do that when my husband was but it's going to be hard to mix them. We'll have to just paint over it again. really pretty, kind of a brick color red. I said I wasn't going to worry about that, but I got some on it and it was bothering me, so just dab over it a little bit. And so this is wet still, and just kind of go right back over it with this red Chipotle paste. And should be good. I can just rub the paint all over my forehead. Saffron thread again. I figured as much. I'm recording, so. Yeah, look at my forehead. Oh, got some paint on it. Alright. Woo, that dried fast. Put some water in the spray bottle. That like the same? I think that one's darker. So again, step back, see what you're working with. This is the side panel over here. Same thing. I put the saffron thread first, and now I'm going back with the chipotle paste after I sprayed it a little bit. Just picking up the saffron thread here where it's kind of dried a little bit, so I'll go back over that just a little bit at the top. This is the frame over here. Same thing that I did over there. And just trying to match up my colors really at this point. I have the same reds and oranges. You do kind of have to let it dry a little bit because it obviously looks different when it's wet and when it's dry. So we won't, like this side over here, what I just did is already dry. So it looks different from this one, but I'll wait and let them both dry and then compare them and then go back if I need to and add some. Saffron thread. I'm trying to think if these even show. I don't think they do. But we still want some consistency because people will typically take the drawers out when we move them and haul them, you know. When people take them home and you don't want it to look half done.
Where'd you go this time?
Close. And then I gotta figure out the fronts. There's that. I'm going to pause on this part, guys, because I'm just going to do this bottom corner here. Same thing as what I did on this side over here. I'm going to do over here, but just to save in time, I'm going to pause. Okay, guys, new day, same finish. I'm still working on the chest here that I was working on yesterday. I did end up doing a second coat on my frame. I didn't record it because I had visitors in the shop, and I was, you know, I try not to have too much noise in the background when I'm doing these. But so this is what we're getting to, and I've got both of these the way I want them. So you can see the orange really is standing out now next to the frame. So I wanted it to be different, and of course I had showed you where I went around the edges to darken it up a little bit, and then I wanted the frame to match that. So what I did was mix my saffron thread that we were using, the Wise Out. It's kind of the corally orange color, saffron thread, and I mixed it in a cup with the Chipotle Paste, which is the color that I have from Behr. It does have calcium carbonate in it to make it dry a little bit faster, basically a homemade recipe for chalk paint. But I wanted a little more red in this piece. I didn't want it to all be orange. I wanted it to stand out a little bit on the frame and to give it some depth. And by adding a darker color around the edges, you can do that. So that's what we did over here. And I have that on the frame. So for the first coat of the frame that I told I did some of both of them. I added the saffron thread and then also went back over it with the mixture and in some places just the Chipotle paste by itself just to get it a little bit darker. But I had some places that were a little lighter and in areas than others. And so, again, just a first coat, getting your color on, kind of getting a feel for it and seeing how you like it. You know, I wanted to see if I wanted a lighter colored frame or if I wanted more orange or if I wanted it to be a little darker with more red. And I like the pieces that had a little more red to it. So that's what I did on my second coat. I just mixed the saffron thread in a cup with the Chipotle paste, probably about a 50-50 ratio, but you can kind of play with it, see what you like. You might like the orange a little more, or you might like the red a little more. For me, I like the red. So I mixed that up and did a whole second coat on the frame, just as is mixed, and just painted it on. I do have on the other side over here, let me see if I can spin it, hopefully not knock it off the rollers. Up here, I don't know if you can see it good, but this is the first piece that I did, and I did that one just to kind of see where I was going with this and how I wanted my final look to be. And I've got some blue on this where I added a little bit of the Mermaid Kiss just to give it a little peak of turquoise, and I used a putty knife for that. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. We'll do that too. But right now, so these can be drying, I am going to work on the fronts. And I'm going to do basically the same thing that we did yesterday. I'm going to just kind of haphazardly paint on the saffron thread, and then I'm going to go back with the mandarina, and then I'm going to use the plastic bag and just dab it how we did yesterday to get some texture. I was trying to decide if I wanted to just do it on this. These top pieces have a raised area on them. The bottom two drawers are flat, top three are not. And so I was thinking about just doing the texture on that part and then coming around the sides with more of a blended look. And I still may do that, again, because I just kind of go with it as I'm going and see what looks best. And we'll see about that. But I do want it to be the oranger color, like the sides, so the frame stands out. I'm going to start with these, and I'm going to do the colors and then the bag. I'm so excited to do this piece. I haven't done orange before. I try to always do something different. And I tend to go more for blues and greens and purples, dark jewel tones. And I was wanting to do something different. I've been wanting to do an orange piece, also a yellow piece. I've got these side tables over here I need to finish up too, that I did in a yellow. And then eventually, maybe I will do one in all kinds of colors. Pastel yellows, pinks, blues, greens. I like the look of that too. Always good to step outside your comfort zone and try something new. That's how you learn, that's how you grow. I talked to some, you guys in another video about growing your social media. I never can tell if people are going to have the same videos or not, so I'll kind of mention that again. I was talking to everybody about making sure you have a business page. If you're doing this for fun, that's one thing, which I think a lot of people start out that way and then they end up changing it up and trying to do it to make a little extra income. But you want to have a business page for your work that's separate from your personal page. So make sure you set up a Facebook account for that. So this again, sorry about that. This is the Safron Thread. I'm using the same brush and just dipping it into the Mandarina to pick up some of the orange there. And same brush. But anyways, make sure you have a business Facebook account so you can post your work on. For selling and whatnot. Post all your stuff on there, and you'll post stuff to all the local sale sites. There's lots and lots and lots of like yard sale type sites on Facebook where you can post your furniture. Also, I recommend Etsy because it will allow you to change up your clientele, because you will reach people that you don't reach before. It's great to sell locally and have clientele that way, but having an Etsy shop will give you a whole new base of customers that you wouldn't have otherwise, because they're going to be mostly out of state. When I first did mine, I didn't, I was like, I'll probably never sell anything, whatever, no big deal, just do it and see what happens. And, then you end up selling stuff, and so it's just a great way to grow and expand your business. As far as growing your pages, something new that I actually just learned kind of recently, when you post things on Facebook and people like it, most of the time the people that are seeing your stuff are already following you, but occasionally you'll have people that maybe don't follow your page that will like a post of yours. And so when that happens, when you look on your Facebook, on your post, it'll have your likes. You're going to click on it and see all the people that liked, that made the little like mark or a love mark or a wow face or whatnot. And you want to look beside those people's names, and it'll show you if they've liked your page before. It'll say liked or following beside it. And if they haven't, it'll say invite. And that is a great way to pick up some new followers by inviting them to like your page. And that is something that I just recently found out about when I noticed it one day, because I usually, you'll see, like, you'll get a notification if somebody likes your page or likes a post, but I never really clicked on it just to see all the interaction. And one day I did, and I noticed it had invite beside it, and sent the person the invite, and they accepted. It just sends them a little thing that says, Rehab to Fab, in my case, invited you to like their page. And all they have to do is click like. Super easy, super fast. Most people are going to do it. And then you have a new like on your page. Super easy way. People may already know that. I did not. This is why I'm messy. Also get on Instagram. There's so many different media outlets. I mean, there's a lot that I don't even do, but I do try to do those. Also Pinterest. Pinterest is a great way also to get your work and your name out there, because you can share. I had a piece that I did in the black cherry that was very popular, and it has been shared and shared and shared. It has reached gosh, 700 or something thousand people, I think, or something crazy. I don't even know how it happened. Every day I get on Pinterest, some new person has followed my boards and liked it. Again, don't know how it happened. I think I just got lucky in that event, but I'm very grateful for all the likes and follows. Let's go grab some gloves. But do what you can. Nobody's going to do the work for you. You do have to hustle. I work full time as a nurse and put in a lot of hours. And every minute I get, I'm trying to post stuff and share stuff, trying to grow my business. So these are the two colors. You can't see a whole lot of difference. A little bit of areas that are brighter. And then I just have my bag again, Kroger bag, plastic bag, grocery bag. Just gonna dab it and get me some texture going. That's it. Going to the next one. Get out there and post. Get on all the sites you can that paint, have furniture painters on them. There's a lot. There's like a refinishing addicts page. There's the World of Chalk Paint page. There's some that are specifically ran by Dixie Belle. DIY, make your own chalk paint page. There's so many of them, but it's a great way to get some exposure. Just go on there and post your stuff. Just make sure you're aware of the rules first. Some of the pages will let you share directly from your page. If it does, I do recommend that, and that's just because you, instead of posting it just under your personal page from your name, if you share it from your page, it will, most likely people are going to go to your page to view the photos, and so that's how you can get more people on your page, get more interaction on your page, which is good because the more people are on there and interact, the more people Facebook shows it to, and get you some more likes, as opposed to just posting, from your own personal page. That is also how you get those people coming over to your page, and they'll like the post, and then you can send them an invitation to like your page. But make sure you read the rules of the page, because not all of them will let you do that. Some of the pages, they will get onto you if you share from your page, and eventually if you keep breaking the rules, they will block you, because they don't want you posting business stuff. It's supposed to be personal, so you have to post from your page. So just be aware of the rules. Post as many of those as you can. Get your name out there. Again, on this, not trying to get a nice smooth finish because we're going for texture. So don't need to be perfectly neat. But you do want coverage. Pretty thick. So we're going to blot some of it off. Just building those layers. It's a good idea also to kind of move around your piece as you're painting, because one area you're sitting in where you can kind of see and it looks like it's solid, you may stand up a little bit and look from a different angle and it can look totally different. And you can see like white spots. So do move around. Put out my bag here again. So I'll start blotting, building that texture. That's it for that. I'm going to do the same thing up here up top, but I am going to go ahead and pause the video just because I don't want it to get too long because it takes forever to upload. But just doing the same exact thing on these top 3 drawers that I just did on the bottom 2. Okay, so I have got the front here done. These 5 drawers. I've got all the orange on it and the texture from my bag. And now I am going to start on this side and add some of the turquoise that I showed you guys. May actually, hold on, let me move my rollers. So for that, and again, you can just come back and add as much to this as you want. Just keep going. If you want a little more white to show through, go back and dry brush some more of the white. If you want some of the darker red to show, go back and add that. I did just come around the corners here a little bit to lighten around that dark part. But just keep going. The more you do, the more texture you have. You can see it, you can feel it. I don't know how great you can see it on the video recorder, but when I post pictures after I get finished, you'll see it. I've got some close-ups too, so you can see. So this is the color I'm going to add just a little pop of color with. This is Mermaid Kiss, also by Wise Owl, and it's like a bright turquoisey color. It's a nice color to kind of give you just that little extra pop to break up all these reds and oranges. And I am going to use a putty knife to apply this. I had a different one the other day. I'm going to try this one and see. If not, I'll go get that one. But so this is a raised surface because of all the texture that I have put on it with the different dry brushing and different layers. This is a flat surface. So when you go over it, ideally, it will only hit, or mostly hit, the raised areas. So I'm just putting just a little dab of paint on my putty knife, and I'm actually going to wipe some of that off too, because I don't want a whole lot, because I don't want a blob. And then you're just going to kind of hold it flat on your surface, and then just kind of drag it. Pretty flat. Just drag it. And I'll show you. Sometimes you'll get a little heavier place like right here, and if you like it, leave it. If not, you can wipe it off with your napkin and spray it if you need to. And just add it here. I don't know. Hold on, let me pause it and I'll get closer. Okay, here is a close-up. I can't really tell the color because of the lighting, and it's got such a glare from the red and orange. But this is what it is. So there's heavier places, and then this is also it, where you kind of see it just trailing down, and it looks really pretty. Move this back, and just keep going with this. Same thing, just dabbing this in the green, picking up a little bit here, and just put it where you want it. You can do as little or as much as you like, just to give it a little color. You're just kind of laying it flat on the piece so it hits those high spots. So you want to almost just lay it like parallel there and just kind of drag it. And if you get a lot on your spatula, putty knife, same thing I guess, you can kind of blot it here. So right here I have a little more than I wanted, and I'll show you how I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to spray that with some water and just kind of wipe it. And it comes right off. Like that. And wipe it. Not too much. Put some water on it. I'll wipe it right off. Try it again. I'm just putting a little bit. I just like this because it hits on those high spots and it kind of looks like stucco, but obviously the colors doesn't. And then you can just get a little more texture, a little more color. As little or as much as you want. And that's pretty much it for that side. See how fast that was? I'm just going to go over and do the other side. Okay, so I got my Mermaid Kiss on, so I'm good with that. Now I'm going to start back on the fronts again, adding that texture. So if you'll remember, as we recap here, we rolled on Kashmir. The reason I rolled it was to give it a little texture from the roller, because it leaves a little kind of bubbly looking raised area. After that, we kind of alternated putting the Mandarina and the Saffron thread, just kind of haphazardly slapping it on just to give us these different colors here. After that, as soon as I put it on, just to give it enough time, not even really trying to let it dry, but just, you know, about the time I finished the whole piece, I started back on the other side with my plastic bag and just kind of dabbing it on here to give it this raised texture also. Let's see if I can move it up here so you can see. But this is it. So this is, it kind of looks yellow, but this is the Kashmir that's behind it from the original first coat. And then you can just see it's a rough feel because of the texture, which is what we were going for. And now I'm going to go back over it again with Kashmir. I'm going to dry brush it and give it some more layers. And the reason we want it textured and raised like that is then it gives us something to let our brush hit on, because we're going to just put it very lightly on the tips. Just teeny tiny little bit of paint. And if you get too much, I always have a rag or a paper towel nearby, and you can just kind of dab it and get the excess off. And then you're going to start brushing it. And what it will do is hit those high spots that we had from the bag. Just lots of dips in the paint and just very lightly dab it. If you get it on too heavy, you'll just have to go back and take some of it off. And the way you do that is by going back over it with those oranges again, just making more layers. And you could just keep doing this over and over where you dry brush over it, and then you could go back again with heavier amounts of paint, and then go back over it with a bag again, and then dry brush it again. And you can just keep doing it as many times as you want to get as many layers as you want. That way you get that kind of old world, really time-worn finish. I'm going to dry brush a little bit of this around the sides too. This is why, this is where I really like dry brushing when it comes in. If you've got a lot of lines like this on your piece where you have the raised areas that like around the trim and stuff, it gets really pretty when you brush over those. Ooh, I just got a lot of paint on there. So again, just dabbing it off, and I'm just kind of moving it around just to kind of help spread it out there. And really lightly brushing it off. Hardly any pressure. You do want to get the trim up here too on top and sides of the dresser, because if you open it up and then it's white and everything else, or I'm sorry, solid orange and everything else has the cashmere on it, it's going to stand out. So do make sure you do that a little bit. So that's good for that. I've got a lot of white on there. I'm going to keep going all the way up, and then when I'm done up there, this should be dry again, and then I'll come back over and dry brush a little bit more orange over it, again just giving me a little more texture. I do want to move these kind of in and out as I go. I've got them pulled out because I'm sloppy, and if not, I'll get white on my frame that I don't want it on. And then when I finish that one, just push it back in. And this will kind of splatter paint a little bit. You may see that it gets around the trim, and that's okay. I'll just, when I finish up, I'll go back over if I need to the trim and just make sure I got all my areas that I wanted. I didn't miss any places. I don't have any splatters. Same thing, just dabbing, wiping off the excess. Same, getting on the sides here too, at the top, around that trim. I don't care as much about the bottom because you can't really see it. The only ones you would see are the ones that are up top if you were sitting on the floor. But I do try to make sure I get it all. So that one's good. And we'll move up to the next one. And this one you'll see a little more of the white that's going to grow around this trim here, because that's what it does. It hits the high areas. Getting a little paint, wiping it off, right there. Probably better because of that trim. I'm going to just go one direction instead of up and down, because if not, it's going to have an area of a lot more white on both sides. So we just do that, and then again around the edges, just really lightly, building up that texture. Get too much on your brush, just wipe it off. Should be good. We're just aiming to make it look like the other side. And again, just keep painting. If you have any issues, get too much, not enough, you just keep going. Dry brushing is a quick and easy way to get some added texture to your piece. This is super fast. Okay, so this is pretty much dry. This is just that white that I went over it. So if you have some in places that you don't like so much, or you want to kind of play it down a little bit, get rid of some of the white, you just go back over it with your brush here. This is the same brush that I was using just for my Safron Thread and the Mandarina. And I'm just kind of hitting it in places, maybe where it's a little heavy. And that just is kind of taking a little bit of the white, so it's not so much. Still have our texture because it's still higher, obviously. And I'm just going to kind of hit some of the areas with a little bit of the original oranges. And I immediately, when I finished the top up there, I just sat right back down and started working on this orange. So you don't really have to, I don't have to really let it dry a whole lot. It's not going to be very wet anyways. If you do it when it's still kind of wet, it will drag and pull the color a little bit. And we'll just kind of give you a smeared look, which is fine. Just art, right? And do what you want. And I'm just kind of hitting it in the areas where there's like a lot of the white, like that sat on the corners and stuff, just so it's kind of even. And then as soon as I finish this, I am going to go right back and start, I think, smearing my Mermaid Kiss. I did not dip this, by the way, when I started right here. I didn't re-dip it in my paint. This is my original, just the brush that's been sitting here since I stopped earlier. That's just the paint that's left over on it. These trucks are so loud. Almost done. One more drawer. there's that. And now, I'm trying to decide. I'm going to see. I think I'm going to go around the edges a little bit here with the red, just because if I don't, this is going to stand out a good bit. And I did put the red around the edges on the side panels, so I'm going to do the same thing here. And this is just my mix of my paint that I was using yesterday. So this is probably equal parts, maybe a little bit more of the red of the saffron thread, and then I just squirted the chipotle paste in it, just trying to kind of go for kind of a reddish color to give me a little bit more of that chipotle look. And I'm going to use, this is the old brush that I was using yesterday that I was just kind of dry brushing with. And I am going to spray around the edge a little bit. And then I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that paint. Not a whole lot. And then I'm going to dab it on my cloth, same as I was doing with the white. Because I don't want a whole lot. I may just need to blend a little. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm just going to kind of go around the edges here, just to darken it up a little bit. Just to give me that little bit of depth and contrast. And if you need to, you can go back with your orange brush here too, and kind of blend it a little bit. That way it doesn't have such a hard line in between them. Just spray a little bit here. Let's pick up a little bit of the red, the chipotle paste mix, and then just kind of going across the bottom here, basically around the trim. And you can come up a little bit on here too, just to kind of give you that same look that we have going over there on the sides. And push it a little bit and see how it looks. And that just helps it to blend, so you have a little bit smoother transition going from the orange to the more chipotle color over on the sides. So that way it's not, doesn't just look like a complete change, like it's totally different. We want it to kind of look like it goes together. And if you get too much, again, just go back over it with your brush that has the orange on it. Same thing. And that was just that brush with the saffron thread on it. I did pick up just a little bit that time. Going back with my chipotle. And the reason I did that, I did spray this a little bit, but it's dry, so it's not gonna it's not even gonna blend at all. It will just if you spray it too much, it will kind of leave runs in your paint and look like watermarks. So because of that, I am picking this up a little and just kind of going around it, and that just kind of gives it a little more paint to move with, because if you're just spraying it on the dry part, it's not gonna, once it's really, really dry, it's not gonna do a whole lot to change it. So I'm just adding a little bit of the saffron thread there, just to kind of help that move. And this is not a good paintbrush rather, to try and blend with. And for the most part, it's dry and crunchy right now, because I just rinsed it out yesterday and I was actually gonna throw it away. But then I needed to do this, so I just went and picked it up so I can use it for this. I might actually use my other brush and we'll swap it and use my other Klingon. This is the same thing though. The Chipotle mix. And it's just that brush is really dry. It's not getting where I want it to. I don't know if you can see, but like here in the drawer creases, it's kind of leaving it missing. Because again, that is so dry, so that's why I swapped my brush out. So same thing here. I'm just dipping this in the Chipotle color. It's much better. So when your brush gets more dry, it will leave, again, I'll show you, kind of like this. So it just kind of hits on those high spots, and it looks like how we're doing the texture, which is good when I'm trying to do it. But this part right here, I don't want it to look that much. I want it to kind of blend a little bit more. And so that's why I just switched my brush. And then I also am using a little bit of the saffron thread and picking up just a little bit of color. And I'm going to go back over that just to kind of help cover that where it was sitting. So I think that is good for these two. Just keep going. Got 3 more to do. And we're almost done, guys. Chipotle. And then saffron. Again, just kind of helping the transition a little bit here. And if you need to, go back over it with the white to dry brush. If you're not liking the color, you get too much smoothness on it and want a little more of that texture, just go back over that. Same thing, next two drawers. I'm going to pause for this. Okay, I've got these drawers all done. So same thing. I just went around the edges here with the color that's a little heavier chipotle, and that's it. And then I'm just going to dry brush a little more white on these bottom two. Because I asked my partner in crime here, and he said they needed a little bit more. So. I'm just going on that where I just got a little bit of white on it. Just picking up a little bit more white. And just trying to get this to be the same as the sides. Just a little more white to it. And we're almost done. I just need to do the top. I'm going to go do the Mermaid Kiss here on the fronts again. So it looks like the sides. That's my turquoise color that I'm adding. Just a little bit, smearing it on my, putting off the excess so it doesn't get too heavy. A little bit flat. And I just want it to kind of hit the high spots. And then you always, undoubtedly, put some too heavy. Like right there. And, oh, I gotta get my water. There's a new napkin. And now I'm just going to spray right there. And just wipe that off. And then ironically go right back over it with more. And hope it kind of hits, yeah. Just want to hit it on the high spots. And you may not have high spots everywhere. And if that's the case, that's where you're going to have the pieces where it kind of grabs, I guess. Right there. I just love that little extra color of blue. And I'm going to pause this again and get to the top because I've already got another 50 minutes on here, so I'm going to pause this and do the same thing on these drawer fronts, and then I'll come back and we'll do the top. Okay guys, I'm going to show you the top of this piece I'm working on. I can't really record it because it's a chest of drawers and it's about as tall as I am, and I don't have anything higher to set my laptop on to try to record it, but I am going to hold it up and show you this. The top I did the same as the base on this whole piece. This is, by the way, kind of what it's looking like. I wish the lighting was better, but anywho, it's looking really cool. I'm liking it. I did the same thing to the top up here. I rolled it on just like the rest of it when I first started it with the kind of fuzzy like roller, not a smooth one, not a foam one, again trying to get that texture. And so you can see if you look close up, it's again not smooth, has lots of texture to it, has some of the wood grain showing through, and that's kind of what the top looks like you expect from a first coat with a base coat color with a foam, or I'm sorry, with a fuzzy roller. And so I am just going to go over top of that Wood Stain, because I don't want to do, when I started it, I was planning on just painting the whole thing, but this is getting kind of busy, and I don't want to do the whole thing like that, so I'm going to put a stain on here. I don't know if you've ever tried that. You can stain over top of paint. I've done it before. My living room set is actually like that. I did a white chalk paint and then went over it with a gray stain, and it's a really cool look. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I have a little corner over here that I put it on, just checking my color to see if I like it. I've tried a Briarsmoke, and I kind of like the look of that, but I may try a little piece with Dark Walnut and see how that looks. But I'm basically just going to go over that either with a paper towel or a sponge, and just kind of wipe it back really heavily so I can see all these variations in it, and then I'll show you a picture when I'm done. Okay, so this is what I have right here. I'll show you. I mixed up equal parts. This is Seen Better Days Varathane Wood Stain and Briarsmoke. It's kind of a grayish toned stain. And then Varathane Wood Stain and Dark Walnut. And I mixed it up equal parts, and I'm putting it right here, and I really like the look of it. It's not really, really dark, but also still has a little bit of the cool undertones from the Briarsmoke, but a little bit darker than the Briarsmoke by itself. And I just mixed it in a cup, and I just have a sponge here that I'm using to rub it on, and kind of wiping some of it back as I go. That way it's not too dark. And again, I'm just putting this right over top of the Kashmir plate. I have to put a little bit of tape around this too, because I will have it all over it if not. And can't really do the top and show you guys. I'm standing on my tippy toes now. But just so you kind of get a look at what I'm doing, just wiping it on and then wiping the majority of it back off. And that is a really pretty color that's going to go well with this. I'm going to stop and do the rest of this top, and then I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so I've got one coat of the stain mix on here, and I'm probably going to put another one on, but it's got to dry first. But this is kind of what it's looking like. And then I may go back and dry brush some paint on it too, just to kind of even it up a little bit. And if so, I'll record and let you guys know. Thanks so much for watching. Hey guys, this is Tyler again. So it's a new day. I just came in and sanded the top of my tall chest of drawers that I was working on with you guys. I was fixing to say dresser, but it's the chest of drawers. So I had the wood stain on it where I had mixed the dark walnut with Briarsmoke, which gave me kind of a cooler tone brown, but that wasn't as dark. I just came and went over it with, I think, a 150 grit sandpaper, and what that does is just give me a little bit of texture. I'm trying to hold my laptop to smooth it out too, because I had some streakiness in it, and that does happen when you stain over paint. But then once I sanded it down, I went with the grain and just went one way, left to right. And then after that, I did go back over it and just wipe some more of the stain on it. And I'm probably going to leave it like that. It's got a little texture to it, looks old. And I'm liking it for the look with this chest of drawers. So I think that's it. I'm going to seal this piece. I'm going to let my husband spray it just so it'll be a little faster. Probably we'll use the Wise Owl matte varnish. That way it doesn't get too shiny. I don't want to wax it or anything. I really like the look of wax, but I don't want to wax it because of all the texture on this piece. And I don't want to lose that by rubbing it over too much. But this is what we have so far. Lots of texture, lots of oranges, reds, got some turquoise in there. Very pretty, and I'm really happy with it. So we'll get that sealed up, and then I'll put the new hardware on it and post pics. Thanks as always for joining us. Bye-bye.